Conversations seem to die. Nostalgic thoughts of a better place in time. But I can't take you there. Another day, another page, another chance for time to rip you away and leave me on my own. I feel so alone since you've gone. He said, so listen close. I have so much to say, but I feel these are my dying days. Stand your ground and don't back down. And when I am gone, you will carry on. I never thought I'd see the day when I'd have to say goodbye. I'm dreaming I cannot see, but there will always be a piece of you with me. But I feel so alone since you've gone. He said, so listen close. I have so much to say, but I feel these are my dying days. Stand your ground and don't back down. And when I am gone, you will carry on. Left all alone, no one can save me tonight. Sit inside this head of mine, praying for the light. Left all alone, no one can save me tonight. Sit inside this head
Hey gang, how you doing tonight? Pappy live and in the flesh today on the show. Lori will be out here shortly with our guests. I think they're in the house, tied up somewhere, but I don't want to keep you hanging. Hello, Larry. How you doing tonight, buddy? Glad to see you on here already. Got a couple people tuned in, but we got a really good guest tonight. We got Irvin all the way out there in Vegas. Him and his little lady are out here visiting. They decided to bless us with their appearance on the show. So it's going to be great. They should be in there any second. Actually, I see them out in the studio out there walking around taking a tour. So they should be in here shortly. I guess they don't know how to tell time, but that's okay. Pappy's always on time, in the flesh. And we're going to have a good show tonight, gang. Good show. We're going to wait for some more people to tune in before we get rolling. But that's it. I think I hear them finally starting to come in. I guess they don't know how to tell time, know what time the show starts. But we're all good to go. So you got the meter ready. Oh, we even got the dog tonight. Everybody's on board. There's the lovely Irvin. Irvin with Irvin. He's in live and in the flesh from Vegas, and his lovely lady Lori. He's on board too. So we're gonna have a great show tonight, gang.
You can sit right in there.
Got the air on. We're all good. Lori let all the bugs in. It's gonna be great.
That was me.
How was your trip? How was your flight? Everything good?
It's great. Just a little jet lag right now.
Jet
I
lag.
had a wallet incident.
A wallet incident. Yeah.
Oh no, pickpocket?
Nah. So we
Just ding dong, Lori.
flew into Newark this morning. We wake up and she says, "I can't find my wallet." So we drove all the way back to Newark to the airport. Waited in the lost baggage claim. They said they didn't have it. She's arguing with me. We come all the way back to South Jersey.
It's in her carry-on bag.
Yeah, it's in her purse.
Hey, listen, I'm gonna keep that out. You looked too.
I mean, we've all had that wallet
I'm not the only
incident.
one that looked.
I remember getting out of the car going, where's my wallet? My buddy goes, well, what are you saying? I said, oh, where's my wallet? It was in my mouth. And I'm like, go through my pocket. We're all going out, going wherever we were going.
It was,
Probably to the cocktail bar, you know what I mean? I'm sure.
Probably.
this pocketbook just swallows everything.
But yeah,
Yes.
they're in town visiting. We're live on the air here. Everybody's out there. We gotta go. We got Larry out there. You know Larry, right?
Yeah. What's up, Larry? How you doing,
Larry
bro?
is in the house. Larry's always in the house. I think he sleeps with the show on next to him. But yeah, how do you like our
Hey, Larry.
studio? This is our studio, man.
I like it.
Beautiful.
And there's
Live and in the flesh.
Yes, my son's favorite color is purple.
Mine too.
We'll give you a
So.
bigger tour out there after the show. You can check out the live room.
I
and
feel
all.
famous being in here for some reason.
Do you?
Yeah.
It's all the buttons, bells
Yeah,
and buttons.
I feel like I'm important.
Yeah.
You are.
You are.
I want to touch
You're very
everything.
important.
You are.
It's
I
a
want
little,
to touch everything.
little menacing out there.
I know you want to grab a guitar and
I
start
do.
jamming.
It's great, man.
I'm like all over the place, just like looking.
Uh-huh.
Just like,
Who, you?
chair.
All over
Somebody
the
messed
place?
with my
No,
chair.
No,
no,
not him.
But
not Irvin.
oh, there we go. I heard an interesting fact the other day, though. They're saying now 3 out of 10 people either themselves have an opiate issue or a family member. That's 3 out of 10. That's like some staggering numbers. And I mean, it's all food for thought. And either
Yeah.
them or a family member directly affected by opioids.
You see, I'm still like close to the community back here in PA, and 2 people that acquaintances, I wouldn't say friends, but that I knew, you know, had a few years of sobriety, passed away this week. You know,
It's
Yeah.
horrible.
Yeah.
It
It's a
is.
sad
It's horrible.
reality. I mean, why it's good to keep it fresh, man. You gotta do meetings. You gotta keep it fresh. You gotta. Otherwise, you're just gonna slack and slide off, and anything can happen. I mean, you keep it fresh. I say you gotta go every day and this and that, but
Right.
you know, every once in a while, it don't hurt. You know,
No,
him.
I'm an
Now,
everyday
he
person.
never goes to anything, but now he stays busy in his work behind me here. But yeah, he stopped going to the meeting.
It's easy to let up, especially the longer you stay sober. You know, not that like, oh, I don't need this or that, but you, in my mind, I justify as like, oh, I got this, all these responsibilities, you know, now, and I have, you know, a family, and I have, you know, a bills to pay and a dog to take care of and
And doors to shut so the cat don't run
right.
out.
That was a joke. And you
I
didn't get it.
Yeah, but you know the funny thing is the people who have like my father's got 39 years of recovery. He goes to a meeting 7 days a week. It's people with anywhere from like 4 to 10 years that start slacking because its life is getting good.
Yep.
And then your
Yep.
recovery gets less important, and you see so many people
Yep.
pick up again. And
So I mean, meetings are important, but they're not everything. It's you got to be doing the work as well. You can't just show up to meetings and just say, "Hey, I made a meeting."
Right.
Like 6 months ago, I slacked on my program, and I felt it. You know, I felt it. I was miserable. Like, go to work and it's just the same routine, and like some BS mundane thing happens at work, and I carry it with me all friggin' day. And I'm not doing the things that were taught to me, and I'll bring it home and then start being pissy to her, not like, smacking her around.
No.
But being pissy, and she's like, what the hell's going on? And it's like, well, I know what I'm not doing. I know
Right.
what I should be doing. So why am I not doing it? It's because I was going back to that, stuck in that self-pity moment. So like
Right.
even people with years of sobriety get those things. Like I thank God I got out of it, and as soon as I started talking to another guy, he's coming up on 20 years in Vegas. Every night I do a 10-step with him, a nightly review, and where was I dishonest, resentful, where did I have fear, where did I have self-seeking motives, who did I help, and then he calls me out on my stuff, and I need that, because, it just reaffirmed that, like, when I take the wheel, life, I don't make the best decisions,
Yes.
I don't make the best decisions.
You won't find him in an Uber. Unless it's got a Fisher pole
But-
holder.
yeah.
He told me you're just off the beam. We'll just get you right back on the beam, and how quickly it changed. I'm looking out for stuff, and it's all the stuff that was from when I was new came back. It's like, who you helping? And that's the main thing, because like it gets you out of your head, and that you're not being selfish anymore,
Right.
and even just little things like holding the door open for an old lady or anybody, it's just little
Don't call
things
me
like
no
that.
old lady.
He came in the house the other night and said, "Thank you for all you do." And I turned around. Oh, did your new friend tell you to say that? And he goes, "Yes." But still, thank you for everything you do.
Yeah.
But it was a great week. I just celebrated 5 years on the 13th.
Woohoo,
Yeah,
man.
5 years. It's been 5 years. It's crazy.
And because you celebrated 5 years, I have a little something for
Aww. Miss your goofy self. I am
You
goofy.
guys, you'll probably see Urban comment on the show. He tunes in every week and likes to comment. And Rory made him a little something. He's in the Mud Club now.
you. And it's salmon. It's not pink. It's salmon.
Hey.
Aw.
That's a picture of me on my kayak in Nevada with with the 5-year chip. And it says, catching 5 years sober, fishing with Swervin'.
I like
So, yeah, if anyone doesn't know, I love to fish, and
Get out,
Fish,
do
you
you?
got
Yeah.
your own page too, right?
yeah, I have my own YouTube channel. It's just I do it for fun, but
So do we. We don't make no money on this. We're not monetized.
mainly
We're only in it
it's,
for the fun, people.
it's something I always did when I was a kid, from when I was like 5 years old, and like when you're in the grips of like addiction and alcoholism, you forget all those things that you like to do because all you're focused on is getting that next one.
How
that
true,
was
how true.
first and foremost, and like.
That's usually a good red flag that goes up for
You're
people. If you
welcome.
notice your loved one stops
And-
doing the things they really enjoy, and sometimes you'd say, but everything okay? And I mean, it's definitely a red flag. Even before like a relapse occurs, you'll see the signs in advance. Like he was saying, hobbies, things that are very near and dear to his heart.
And it's almost like therapy for me. I when I'm on the water, I don't think about yesterday, today, or tomorrow. It's my Zen moment, And then
in the zone, in the strike zone.
Because when I take this one out, she always outfishes me, and I get resentful. So fishing is not supposed to make me resentful. No,
Well, it's beginner's luck.
it's
Yeah.
it's
So she
nice.
talked to the world and listen. I know it's going to be bad for you, but
It's gonna be-
you got to work with me.
Yeah.
It's nice to share. It's
Right.
nice to share.
And you
so-
just celebrated what, 4 years?
Yeah.
Oh my
Well,
gosh,
congratulations.
4 years. Oh, hey, man, it's party night. It's party night. here. And we hear we hear you like rock and roll. We hear you like music, huh?
Oh, I do.
Do you play any instruments or anything?
I don't. I just listen.
That's fine. So do I.
Yeah, it's great.
I'm a DJ. I play other people's music.
I love it. That's like
I
that's
don't
one of
perform any of it myself.
it's one of the nice things about being sober. Like you go to concerts and you actually remember them.
Yeah,
That's true.
exactly.
And you have so many sober people you can go with, you know, and it's you remember it, you enjoy the music more.
It's
and
great you got a circle of friends like that, and that's really
I
important
love
for people.
that.
Very important for
I
people.
was looking through your pictures and I was like, I don't know you enough to just take one of your pictures and do something with it.
I Photoshop something onto it. You know.
It says rock and recovery since 7/19/19, one day at a time. I love that.
That's awesome.
Thank you
Go,
so
man.
much.
You're
Go.
welcome.
I'm getting all teary eyed.
Oh man, don't get all weepy on it. There's no Kleenex in this studio.
That's why I
We-
wear sleeves.
We like to mix humor and laugh. It's not all doom and gloom recovery. We keep it light and happy. But
Yes.
hey, when we play, you like it.
Yeah, that's
Yes,
You know,
congratulations.
It's a big deal.
It is a big
It is
deal.
a big deal. You know, like you're probably the least one to make a big deal about it. You know what I mean? It's always like that. But it's we feel as though we give credit where credit's due, man. There's nothing wrong with that.
It was nice. We when he celebrated his 5 years, you know, this is what's a gift of recovery. Like, just threw on a home group chat that he was celebrating, and 40 people showed up to go out to dinner.
Mm-hmm.
That's just, you know, it's what you get in it, and gratitude.
her father gave me his 5-year chip from 1989. Yeah, yeah. So her dad gave it to me. Yeah.
I was a little resentful because I never got one of Dad's coins
No.
Well, I'm very likable.
most of the time.
I'm very likable.
You are.
He's right there. He is very likable. Like, we wouldn't have him here.
No,
Uh,
and I told him he wasn't allowed to come to Pennsylvania without doing the show because
Oh, I promised. Yeah, I promised
Yes.
you I'd do
Yeah,
it.
we haven't seen him in a long time.
Last time I was here, it was snow on the ground,
yeah,
and I don't even think that
No, that
studio
wasn't-
wasn't even
it was
built.
just-
We were in here, but that studio
Yeah,
wasn't.
this was
built.
the first
Right.
room
Yeah.
finished, and that was
It
still
did.
under construction, and
a hell of a job.
yeah.
it's
he
still
did.
not complete. But he's busy.
He is. I was like this stuff. All like I have no idea.
I was big on the purple.
Don't even know, like the on and off button.
But he mixes and masters music in there. We got bands coming in here all the time. You know, they record. Some we've just come into practice out in the studio out there, but it's all soundproof.
It's nice.
So can I see people checking in on the phone?
Yeah, you can see it on the
Make
phone.
sure
You
I
can see it
shut
up
mine
top
off.
there. I really don't. Nobody's commented but Larry so far.
Larry's the only one commenting
Why
so
Larry
far.
don't want to comment?
Cause he always the first. Even at parent group meeting, Larry's there an hour before the rest of us, getting the beverages out.
Yes, and he is. He's always.
He is
He always
always-
sets everything up. He always
Always on
does.
time.
You know, it's awesome to have, you know, a lot of people in your corner. And like Larry, he's in recovery, but he comes to our parent family group and shares his experience, which gives especially the new people a perspective on, you know, what they were going through while they were going through their stuff. And it's amazing. It's really John is in the house. Hey John.
And if these microphones are picking up panting, it's not me. I got a dog next to me.
Yeah, right.
These microphones can hear a fleet fart. You know what I mean? It's like, what's that heavy breathing and panting? Especially if I go out of camera and you.
Well, the best night was when both dogs were in here and they started doing the nasty.
Oh no, really?
Yeah.
On camera?
Right on camera. We're like, yeah, and they're two females.
Such a quality show.
Last week I was just flicking through the news back east, and saying Kensington's having a real problem with Trank.
Trank.
Oh,
I never
yeah.
heard of it.
Maybe
It's
And I saw like this like docu-series or whatever on. I was like,
Yeah, well, Trank is an animal tranquilizer,
Yeah.
xylazine. And the reason they're putting it in is because fentanyl is just taking over the whole heroin business. There's like no heroin in the city. Everything's fentanyl.
right.
And even though fentanyl is like 100 times stronger than heroin, its shelf life is like less than half. It doesn't stay that long. It goes away. So by adding the Trank, it prolongs the effects of the fentanyl. But the trade-off is it's causing horrible sores, bone infections.
It's eating your skin a lot. Yeah, it's just eating your skin. The skin's falling right off the bones.
And like you know,
God.
it's you know, it doesn't react with Narcan,
No.
and it mimics heroin because you're still going conscious and not out, but you know you still have your respiration. Where with opioid, you just stop breathing. I mean, you have no desire. So people don't know what the hell they're doing. They're Narcan them. They're not reacting. Well, they are. They're breathing and their heart's beating. They're just not conscious because the tranquilizer just knocking about. Was your fly down the
Yes.
whole time? People, I have to apologize. No, he wasn't trolling.
No, it wasn't a problem.
that's why Pappy was panting.
At least you wear underwear.
And I didn't even I didn't even like nonchalantly pull it. I was just like,
What the hell he doing?
I don't think you're nonchalant to do anything.
So, yeah, the last time you were here, you told your story, and I've been wanting you back ever since. And I'm so glad that we have you, and I'm so glad that's the link to the live. So if you want to share that out, you can copy that.
oh yeah, that's what I'm doing now.
John's in the house. Hey, John. How you doing, buddy?
Yep. And just, you know, sharing your recovery is amazing. And so many people are so helped by that, especially families. It's amazing. When I first found out about my loved one, I saw no hope. I saw no future. I saw nothing. And then I went to an event at Living Grin, and at the end they had a meeting where people were sharing in recovery, and that was the first time that I saw hope, because people were talking about their recovery and, you know, that life does go on. So we would have, I don't know, were you ever at the family group? Were you ever in Living Grin and then pulled into, well, I know you are because you're alumni,
Right.
but they pull the patients in with the family group, and we have a speaker, and the speaker would tell their story, and
We'd have the parents on one side of the room and the patients on the other side of the room, and then dialogue would ensue.
patients would walk in and be like, what the fuck did I just walk in on?
Yeah, everybody be like, I didn't sign up for this.
I don't know if I did that, but I think I spoke for you one or two times, maybe even three times, before like an Al-Anon thing for parents,
Right.
where like the alcoholic and the addict was speaking to the parents to get the alcoholic's view on things.
Right.
And shit, what an eye opener that is! Like to see the other side, you know, and like
Well, that was the whole reason on what we would do with the speaker thing. It was an eye opener for both sides.
yeah, right.
You know what I mean? And then everybody loosened up. Then, like, the patients would say, man, I wish my parents had been to something like that. They don't understand
Yeah.
what the hell I was going
Right.
through, because they don't. And that's, you know, that's what's so beneficial to educate people on addiction. Because, like I always say, people think they understand addiction, but it's usually just their opinion of addiction. You know, it's usually very flawed and not fact-based, but opinion-based. And that's what I always tell people. I said, I mean, you just got to educate yourself. Go to one of these meetings or programs, just, you know, just for the hell of it.
I know my aunt was really
John was complaining he couldn't see me last night. John, can you see me okay out there? it's funny.
I know my aunt was one of them, and where she had her opinion on recovery and addiction and everything, and she actually went to the Living Grin family, where they, I guess, educated her on it a little bit,
Right.
and she had a more of an open mind.
Right. And
Yeah.
and you do, because like we had our own opinion on it.
Sure,
and,
both of us.
Like,
And it was flawed.
right.
We both grew up in families full
Right.
of addiction. You know, we had our resentments and we had our own idea of what it was all about. Like, why don't you just put your shit together
and
and stop doing it?
Yeah,
That's what I
right.
used to think, you know,
Why
like
can't you
just
stop?
stop, you
Yeah.
know, the alcohol. Not really understanding that you can't just stop. That it is a disease, and people fight you tooth and nail on that, but it's a disease of
It's
the brain,
funny
man.
you say that, because Lori has a story. You know, your story kind of the start of the solution starts with that, with your son, when he asked you. So,
Well, it starts with my dad.
right. Well, why don't you talk for a little bit, even quiet for a little bit?
It's unusual. We go to like detoxes and rehabs, and we bring, you know, our stories into them and try to stay more, you know, a lot of people that are in that position want to hear a little bit more of your like we call it your get here story, you know, like all the shitty
But,
You're allowed to say shit.
the dumb button, where's the dumb button? She said shitty. But anyway.
I'm sorry. I have a bad mouth that hasn't
That's all
gotten
right.
fixed yet.
It
But
hasn't
you know,
got fixed
you
yet?
know, they want to hear a little more of, you know, the stuff that we did, but then, you know, you go right into the solution, and it's a beautiful gift to see when you just reach one person in there.
Mhm.
If we just reach one person, we did our job. You know, we do
Exactly.
that together, which is really cool. So before we got together, we knew each other's stories, so there was no hiding anything. But my dad's been in recovery for 39 years, and he never tried to force me into recovery, which was like the gift, because that's what you can't do. That'll push
Right.
you further away. And
Surely.
when I was ready, I called him, and then my son, which is scary, is a lot like me, and it tears me up a little bit, but he had taken off and went on a little bender there, and when he needed help, he called me. And that's one of the gifts, you know, and I went to, I'll call it the other side meeting, you know, where it was the family members.
Right.
I walked out crying because I didn't realize, you know, like when we do all of our work, you see some of it, but I didn't realize until I saw it like face to face
The
how it
impact.
affected the families. You know, it was
Yeah.
heartbreaking.
But
Yeah,
that,
to
that's
see.
what, you know, a lot of people, I hate to say addict, but we see addicts, you know. Me and her, we had to use proper terminology at the places we go to. Persons with a substance use disorder, but I'm just going to talk about, you know, addicts tend to think they're only hurting nobody but themselves. You know what I
Right.
mean? And that's the precursor. They always say, you know, I'm not hurting them, but it's not true. It's a family disease, and everybody suffers from it. Even if you think like, oh, they don't care about me, they've all given up on me, you know, they've written me off, and I don't blame them. I'm a horrible person. Well, that's not the case. People hate the addiction, but they love the person.
Right.
You know
And
what I
that,
mean?
that's when, in our meetings, I try to explain that to them. Your person is there. They've just been, you know, hijacked from the drugs. And it's when it's nasty and when it's ugly, that's the drug talking and not the person, because they know that that isn't the person they were before they started putting substances in their bodies.
It's so crazy that you say that, because I never take this paper out of my bag. It was written by someone who loved an addict, if I'm allowed to say that.
Yes.
And she wrote this whole thing about how it's the addict that steals from you, it's the addict that does this, but it's the person who dies.
Yes.
And I read that, and that I made like so many phone calls
Now
because
that-
it just it's powerful.
Yeah.
That
That's
just
powerful.
I never heard that.
Yeah,
so
I
that,
mean the paper. I read it a lot of times when I go
you'll
to
have
those
to
places.
take a picture of it and send
can-
it to me.
There's a lot of prolific statements in
And this-
recovery. You know, like one of the bigger ones. There's nothing worse than warning a child or a loved one while they're still alive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it is. I mean, people just give up all hope, and
Yeah.
and you just exist.
Yeah.
You don't
Yeah.
go on and you just don't. Nothing changes. You know, and that's the other. Nothing changes. Nothing changes. And sometimes it's so hard for people to take that step to make a change, for fear of pushing their loved one over the edge, or, you know.
And we give, you know, as addicts and alcoholics, you know, we give our families two choices: either enable us or wait for that phone call.
Right.
You know, and that's, my mom had said to me, I think I was about a year in recovery, and she said, I regret enabling all my children, especially you, because you were the worst. And hearing that, knowing you know, that I heard her like that was hard, but another gift in recovery for anybody who's on here that's, you know, struggling with it is you get to make peace with that and, you know, and move on.
And that's one of the hardest things for a parent too, alone because as a parent, I mean, you're taught since you're a child what it is to be a good parent. To do whatever it takes for your children so they don't hurt, they don't want, they're not hungry, they're not in danger, to run into a burning building if need be to save them. Do anything and everything. But when your child or your loved one has a substance use disorder, them same values, you can love your child to death. Because, you know, there's a thin line between enabling and loving your child, and it goes against everything you were taught. And it's very hard to convince people that what they're doing is harmful or detrimental, and because they don't know. That's why, you know, we recommend meetings to hear other people say it, and we'll hear the same thing a couple times over, and it'll start resonating, like maybe there's something to this.
Yeah.
Because years ago, it was tough love, that was the term used. Well, that's a dated term, we don't use that no more. Now we like to say, disconnect with love. You know what I mean? Take a step back, you know, and allow your loved one to do things for themselves that they're capable of doing. We're so worried about fixing their problems, and like, you know, oh God, it'll make a relapse. You know, if I don't make that car payment, or, you know, if I don't do this, or I don't, you know, bail them out, or you know what I mean? Like, you're so afraid, and we end up doing everything for them. And the best success is when they do for themselves, because now they've earned it, and, you know, and they're proud of it, and it's their accomplishment. You know, like you said, you know, you keep pushing them, they're just going to go farther away. I mean, nobody likes to be told what to do. Nobody, just it's human nature, and to have it constantly be berated and said to you so many times. I mean, you become very resentful from that. And no matter how good it is, you're just not going to do it just because you're tired of hearing the shit. You know what I mean? Like, but then as a loved one, you got to speak your mind to an extent, and we always say what you mean what you say, but don't say it mean.
I like that.
You know what I mean? That's what's great recovery. You learn all these cool phrases, you know.
Say what you mean, just don't say it mean.
I
Say
like
what
that
you
one.
mean,
I
mean
never
what you
heard that
say,
one.
just don't say it mean.
I like that one. Yeah, I remember too, like, you know, my brother's in recovery, and, you know, I was partying then, but I wasn't really over the edge yet, and yet is the key word there. And I hated him when he was using so much, because it hurt. So instead of feeling the hurt, I let myself feel the hate. You
Right.
know, and that was the easier, softer way for me.
And that's the truth. That's the honest truth right there, because, you know, you have to, you know, make it about somebody else and not so you don't have to see that. And, you know, that's the hardest part, is dealing with that.
And then you get lucky and meet people like him.
I don't know about that, but
I had to say something nice. I've been mean all
That's a
day.
two-way street, now.
I've been mean all day, so jet lag Lorianne is not very nice.
The guy that like cleaning fish and stuff like that.
Hey, he had me eating sandwiches with fish guts on my hands, so that's progress for me.
there you go.
I mean, I didn't find out until, like, you know, a year later that, like, the only two choices I left my family is, you know, let's leave Irvin in our lives and slowly watch him die, or write him off and wait for that phone call that he's dead, you know? And those are basically the two choices out of my family. But, like, yeah, like you said, like, when you're in the grips of your alcoholism addiction, you just think you're hurting yourself and you're hurting nobody else.
Right.
You don't think about that other side, you know? And that was hard to deal with, you know, when my brother told me that, you know? And I remember having, like, a big resentment against my brother, because I'm his only brother and I wasn't his best man at his wedding. And it's like, how could you do that? I'm the only brother. And it's like, well, how do you think he felt that he couldn't ask you to be his best man?
Right.
You know? And,
Right.
Yeah, you don't look at it.
and you don't look at it. You're so closed-minded in the grips of addiction, you know?
Yeah.
It's you start learning how much you affected other people, and then like how much people did, because I know, like, I didn't think anybody cared about me. You know, I thought I was just all alone, and I couldn't have been further from the truth.
Right.
Couldn't
And
have been further from the truth.
that was the one thing, like, when we would go down the way to, you know, hand out food and try to, you know, become friends with people so that they would talk to us so that when they were ready, they knew who they could come to and, you know, try and get the help. That's the one thing, like, have you called your family? Have you called anybody? And no, they don't love me anymore. They turn their back on me, and like trying to explain to them that they love you so much that they had to let go. They had to let you do what you're doing so they couldn't watch you kill yourself.
Right.
And, you know, a couple times people picked up the phone and like,
Yeah, we would give them our phones. Are you familiar with this area? Like the, I don't know where you're from.
I was New York and North Jersey.
Okay, well, you've heard of Kensington.
Yes.
That was our place. We used to do outreach in Kensington for years, and that's where we would go down there. It's like walking in a third world country. It's beyond anything you could believe. That, you know, just a few blocks away, it's a total about face. But it's just a densely populated area of people, you know, trapped in addiction, and they can't get out, and it's horrible. But we did a lot of time down there, and we learned a lot. Talked to a lot of people down there. I mean, and it's amazing how honest they'd be with us and all that. They're looking for somebody to talk to. They really are, because you really can't talk too much down there because you can't show. You know, like, what's the word I'm looking for? You got to keep a gruff exterior. You can't show weakness down there. You know what I mean? You can't show you're emotional and stuff. So you just kind of say to yourself, and you talk with people, but not about things that really concern you or anything like that. But that shows weakness, and they prey on the weak down there. It really does. I mean, it's just a whole subculture. It's really weird how it operates. But they're great people, I mean, and they're from all walks of life. That's the most interesting part. I mean, addiction is an equal opportunity destroyer.
Oh, yeah.
It really does.
Yeah.
People used to always think of the
yeah.
bum, the hobo down on Skid Row, where portrayed in movies and all. You know, the drunkard, and down on his luck, and it's not the case, man. It's like everything: doctors, lawyers, friggin' you name it, vets. I mean, everybody. Union guys, a lot of union guys down here. They get hurt on the job. They get on them Percocets, what they call them, Work-a-sets. The next thing you know, man, it's off to the races. You can't go to work without them. I mean, so many stories that were so intriguing. I mean, I learned so much down there talking to guys. I mean, I enjoyed it. They all got to know me. They were like an acquaintance. I go down there. They'd ask me how he was doing. How's he making out? I go, he's doing really good. You know, I was, that's great, man. Tell him, man, congratulations. This and that. And I will. I'll tell them, but they would ask. It was really wild to see they're really people, because on the outside, they're absolutely friggin' frightening.
Yeah.
Look, I mean, oh my God, it takes you a while to get used to that. I mean, they're so menacing looking. I mean, they're exhausted. They're covered in scabs. I mean, they're filthy dirty. I mean, walking, leaning over, hunched this and that. Like, most people don't even want to get near them.
Nope.
You know, and they're afraid. But man, once you get involved and you talk to them, it's amazing. They're really super nice people, but they just don't know who to be nice to.
right.
There's no.
Yeah, because there's always a scam going. There's always,
Yeah, everybody's got a hustle and this and
yeah.
that, you know. And they once they meet me, they know within 15 minutes, you're not going to bullshit me. You're not going to bullshit a bullshitter. Because I don't play around. I talk turkey down there, and they respect you for that. They really do. But you can't overplay your card, because then you're an asshole, and then
Right.
and then like down there, you can't be that, because people will try and call your bluff, as did it. So you know what I mean? So it's a balancing act.
Yeah. So guys, if you have any questions or you want to call in at any time, the number is 267-737-8031. If you are subscribed to the show, you have a phone, a laptop, or a tablet, you can always comment in the comments. If you're watching on the TV, you have to use your phone or one of those other items to do the comments. But we are here with Herb, we are here with Lori, and we're getting into our recovery. And what is your favorite part of your recovery? Because we've talked, and I think things happen for a reason.
Yeah. I don't know. It changes somewhat. But the favorite part about my recovery is that I get to I wake up knowing that I have another day to be a better person, if that makes any sense. I get to start over again, and I have a cognizant wherewithal of me being the best person I can possibly be, and I fail every day. You know.
Don't we all?
Yeah, I fail every day. Like I don't do. You know, I wish I did things right all the time, but you know I don't. But I have the opportunity to be the best person, and opportunity is. I have every opportunity at my disposal to live life to the fullest today. You know, I have the means to make that opportunity possible. Right at my disposal. You know, that wasn't like that 5 years ago. You know, I don't know if you guys know, but I mean, I came in homeless. You know, I was walking the streets of Philadelphia, and you know, I was thinking when I got right before I had my 5 years, I was thinking back. You always like reminisce and like kind of like you just start thinking, and like I was thinking back to like that day before, and I was like just so mentally, physically, spiritually broke and just wanting to die. Like, you know, there was nothing left in the tank for me, and a total stranger rolls down his window, and what's that?
Nothing. Go ahead.
Total stranger rolls down his window and says, "I don't know where you're going. Wherever you're going, just go get help." And like right around the corner was like a crisis center, and I went in and like told them I needed help, and then they brought me to the living room, and I think my employer left my insurance on. I don't know, but I don't know. I just, if I'm not getting, I probably had like a week left of life in me, you know, if that, you know. They say there's like three things, like jails, institutions, and death, you know, and I've been down that road of jails and institutions, you know, and knocked on death's door more than once. And I remember getting an ambulance ride like 2 days before I got sober, and I remember the paramedics saying, "You're lucky we weren't busy today," and that was in Kensington, you know. They're that busy cleaning off bodies off the street, like that's what they say to you, you know. And I remember it wasn't gratitude going in my mind, like it was just like, why save me, you know. And that's not like that today, you know. I thank God for each and every day I get, and you know, I get those self-pity moments, you know. I think everybody does, but the best part about my recovery is helping out another person that's struggling and watching them get their lives back. You know, that's
Not meeting me.
what's that? Well, yeah, meeting people like Lori and Pappy, you know, and you know, I you know, even though I moved out of town, I still keep in touch every week, you know, and I have
I eat dinner talking to them sometimes on Facebook.
You know?
Yeah, we're on FaceTime each other.
I have the opportunity to come back and visit and like stay at my sister's house. I have her car, you know, and she
Right.
knows I'm here, you know.
Right.
She knows I'm here,
She's
and I'm
watching,
actually a
I'm sure.
licensed driver.
Yeah.
You know.
You know, and that is the
Yeah.
you know, so
She already texted me 3 times. How's his pupils?
How's his pupils?
They fall.
yeah. But
She actually just texted me. She said, "Here's the code to the house for when you get in." Like, if I'm not doing the right thing, you're not giving me a code to your house.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
exactly.
It's those little things, and it's the opportunity to better myself.
5 years ago, you would have got the code to her bicycle lock.
You wouldn't have
Right.
been sitting here either.
Especially your bicycle
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah. So it's the opportunity to be the best person I can be every day. It's the opportunity to help somebody else out and watch them get their lives back, because the whole point of this program is to help out the next alcoholic and suffering, next suffering alcoholic or addict.
Right.
You know, that's how this thing goes, you know, and
Hence why they call it the WE program.
the WE program. And it's like, this was so freely given to me. I can't selfishly take it and just run with it. You know, that's not how it works. You can't just take and just go. You know, you have to you have to give it away as well. And it's like, that's like watching my buddy, like I could call them my buddies now that like I would sponsor, and seeing them get their lives back and getting their families back and like getting in relationships, and like, there's no money in the world that takes like that'll compensate for that feeling that I get, like I can't see any money in the world, like, because it just makes me happy, it makes me happy. And then watching him take another guy through the steps and like and then I remember him thanking me. He's like, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have all this. And it's like, no, if it wasn't for you, you wouldn't have all this.
Right.
Like it's
Right,
did the
right.
work.
Right,
You
you did the work, But yeah,
I just held your hand. You
right,
did the work.
right. So like the opportunity to live life as the best person I can be is something that I could never ask for. It's
Right.
it's incredible.
Now, how about you, Lori?
Yeah, how about you, Lori?
Hey, Lori, how about you?
Hi guys. I would say, attempted suicide is a big part of my story. There was 7 of them, and I put myself into a coma. And my parents got phone calls like, "You better get here. She's not making it through the night." So for the selfish part of the recovery, is I have a desire to live today, and I didn't have that for many, 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 many years. And the other, I because when I talk about stuff, for me, it's like my kids are back in my life. My son told me he hoped I would die and called me a junkie, and he lives with me today and called me for help. So on that side, getting all the things back, and it's not the financial things. It's just like when I'm bored, I realize it's peace, and that's what I was looking for in that drink and that drug, was just to find peace. And it's kind of like what Irvin said, like we get to go to these rooms, and some meetings I'll go to because I need a meeting.
Right.
Some meetings is because I'm there for that next person walking in, and the gift of sponsorship is sitting with another woman in my kitchen, and she trusts me enough to talk to me about all those crappy things she did, and I can tell her what I did to get better. And we call it, like, we get to see the lights come out in people, and you watch these people grow. And I sponsor a girl that has a son that has Down syndrome, and she leaves him with me. People wouldn't leave their kids with me before, so I get to help people today, and it's not for selfish motives. I mean, I don't know, I
Right.
guess staying sober isn't really a selfish motive, but my kids wake up every day and know their mom's home. That's a huge thing, and my mom today doesn't consider me dead anymore.
Yeah.
When I had called my dad for help, he said, "I have to ask your mom, she considers you dead," and that's like, and I'll never forget, like a year before I came in, I thought I was done, and my father flew back east to help me, and he was just shaking me, telling me, "You're gonna effing die," and the pain in his eyes is something that stays with me, and I don't ever have to see that pain in his eyes, and he never has to feel that pain
Right.
of knowing his daughter is gonna die. Like Irvin, I probably had maybe a month left to live, and one of the biggest gifts of this program, I think, is I can forgive people today. I
Yeah.
don't have to hold on to anger and resentment. Like, yeah, I get angry, I'm far from perfect, and I say some pretty crappy things, but we also get to take responsibility for that.
Yeah.
And I couldn't take responsibility for anything before, and today, I just, helping people is just the biggest thing.
Yeah.
And watching them grow, and it's just, there's no feeling or no word I could come up with to describe that feeling. And
Sure,
like
I
I
mean-
got to come back here and meet you guys and meet his family, and
We
Actually-
made so many friends like this through recovery. I mean, that's what we do. I mean,
I got into an
we enjoy it.
airplane without worrying I was going to go to jail because I didn't have anything illegal on me. If there's a cop behind me, I don't get scared anymore.
Right,
It's just,
right.
I'm
And
not,
I hear that a lot.
yeah,
Like,
it's like, whoa.
yeah. You can walk by and look at a cop and smile.
Besides my immediate family, everybody is in the recovery world in some form of way.
That's the
Yes.
truth.
Yeah.
Well, I gotta say, we have more friends in recovery than we do probably regular friends now.
Yeah.
And just for the record, me and Lori aren't in recovery. I mean, we're
No.
not. But we just, we've we just adopted this program and seen a void, especially for families, where like when we're doing outreach, we're seeing there's plenty of help for the people affected with addiction. They just have to want to take it. But the poor families are left in the dark. They're left behind. They don't know what's going on. They're lost or confused. They're scared.
Yeah.
And we were like that. And I always tell the story. It's funny, but it ain't funny. Our first thing to think of was Living Grand, only because all my friends have been there.
Right.
And it's local. It's only a couple miles away, you know. So I've always known about it. So many people have no idea of a recovery center or where they're at or what they're about or if they're nearby. So we were fortunate in that regard. I mean, and I mean, like all my friends have been there, man, over the years. I mean, and they're trying out or this or that, you know. So we were fortunate, but like so many families are just left in a lurch. They don't know what to do or where to turn, you know. And and it's hard to get any information, even if your loved one checks themselves in somewhere with the HIPAA law. If they don't know how you're making out, what's going on, so they're even more upset. And
Well,
then
that
they got to
was-
get you to sign a waiver to waive information, but you're not really ready to do that yet because you're fresh. You know what I mean? At the home, so
And that was the scariest thing for me. We were sitting in Dana's family education, the
Day of Enlightenment.
Day of Enlightenment, and she was like, you know, we won't tell you if your loved one has left.
we can neither
We-
confirm or deny.
And I'm like, I'm
What?
sitting here for 3 hours and he may not even be here. Are you freaking kidding
And
me?
that's what Living Grand would do. The Day of Enlightenment, you would have to go and take this course in order to visit your loved one at Living Grand. You couldn't have visiting rights until you took the course.
On almost any rehab. Some of them are shorter, some of them are just as long, but to hear that,
It was an eye-opener. I don't think we were.
it was, and another thing was, you know, if your addict was out on the street and they saw somebody die, what do you think the first thing they're going to do? And the parents all say run, and Dana's like, no, they run right to that bag
Yep.
and want to know because
That's the good
they
stuff.
were smarter than I'm smarter than they were. That's the good stuff. That's the high I want. And I'm like,
What?
what? No, like you're
That turns a lot of
insane.
parents' loved ones' heads when you bring that up. Like,
Yeah.
It's absolutely no sense. Oh, so well, that's right. And instead of most of the things that your loved one does, it's not going to make sense to you because you're looking at it with a healthy brain. Okay, those with an addictive brain process things totally differently. I mean, and that's a hard, hate to say, hard pill to swallow for a lot of
Yeah.
I don't know.
But
I was
it
getting
is.
high with someone and they started seizing, and I sat there and contemplated for as long as the seizure lasted if I should call an ambulance or not.
Yeah.
That's how my thinking was. Like, if I call the ambulance, I'm going to jail, and I don't feel like
You
going
know
to jail
what?
tonight.
That's a misnomer in itself there because they have the Good Samaritan Act that's been passed. That's not the case, but so many people think that way. They
Right.
don't know it, and that's where education comes in for everybody on both sides of the ticket. You know what I mean?
And each state is a little different, so.
I've
know.
done that many times.
Yeah.
Where you know, you find out what block that guy overdosed on, and that's where we were going. You know.
Well, years ago,
That
they
was the
used to
good
put out
stuff.
what was called hot bags. They would intentionally make really extra strong bags, and if you die, you die because it's a great sales pitch for them.
Yeah.
As sick as that sounds, and they would intentionally make the hot bags to cause someone to overdose, and you know, God help them, just because everybody would flock to whatever was on that bag.
Yeah.
And people say, no, why? You would think they would go the other way. No, it's not the way you think they might work.
It's like such distorted thinking.
Yeah,
like,
it is, and it's like I said, it's education. People have no clue about these things we're talking about, especially if they're new to this with their loved ones. I mean, they're like, what?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, because when we're in the family meetings and like we discuss what we have learned over the years,
learning what we've
And what
experienced
we've
and what we
seen.
saw.
and the parents are like,
I mean, I've been on
They
several
are-
reversals. I mean, we've done it. It's like you got to the point you never get used to it, but you don't get as upset. And after a couple, you think a lot clearer and act a lot
Yeah,
clearer.
right.
But in the first one, oh my God, it seems like hours passing by in front of like. And people are narcanning the shit out of people. People are taking a nap on a bench. They're running up and they're like, "What are you doing?"
They're just
It's
napping.
crazy. It's just napping.
And the most it took me to get back was 8. They had to Narcan me 8 times. I always say can, but it's can. 8
Can,
times
yeah.
it took to bring me back.
Wow.
It's a different world they live in. You know, it's.
Well, now with
it's a different world.
with fentanyl, it's not as quick reacting as heroin, so it takes a little longer, and it might take an extra dose of, but more than anything, it takes a little longer, and it's critical. It's critical. I don't know if you've ever been with somebody that's overdosed, like where I always equate it to a baby being born. I mean, they just lose the desire to breathe. They turn blue. You're like a bluish pale gray. And then and I mean, you're like this close to death. And then you Narcan them, and like within a minute or so, it's like a thermometer. You see them turn a pink again because they start breathing again. And they go from death's door to boom, jump to their feet. What's going on? I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Like, no, but you gotta calm down because you're
Yeah.
only gonna get up the street. It's gonna happen again.
Yeah.
It's only a window. It's not. It doesn't cure it all and erase it all. I mean, it's still in your system, but it's just blocking it off your brain. And you gotta beg them to wait for an ambulance. I mean, many times they bounce.
They bounce. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely a world I do not want to ever go back to.
Right.
And
It's
super
insane.
grateful I was one of the lucky ones to get out of it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, because you just don't realize.
didn't. You know.
You don't. When you're in that frame of mind, you start to get used to that lifestyle.
Yeah.
That's what I say. The abnormal became normal for so long.
Oh, yeah.
You know, just I would go to the church on Broad Street because that was the only place that would give me shelter for the night. You know, and it's cold in the winter here. You know, and you wait out in the snow, and they let you sleep on the floor, and they would serve you gruel. You know, like not gruel, but soup. You know, and you're sleeping next to bums. You know, mentally ill people. You know, people just sometimes not nice people. You know, there's out of their mind.
Sure,
you know,
man.
like-
You're always on the alert. You're afraid to fall asleep. You wake up with no shoes.
Yeah, I did. I woke up with no shoes, and they gave me shoes from their lost and found. In the
Yeah, I
church.
remember them high heels. You said his back was out for months.
Kind of, sort of.
But his calves look great though.
You're not too far off. They gave me a pair of dress shoes that were 2 sizes too small, and like I was literally
you were
hobbling.
grateful.
And, no, I wasn't grateful. Maybe I was grateful to have shoes on my feet, but it was normal. It
Right.
didn't faze me that I'm wearing donated shoes from a church that I just slept in their basement and had to be kicked out by 6 o'clock in the morning, and I'm walking down the street looking to score that next one, or what I need to do to make that $5 extra to get that next one, and then repeat the process.
Yeah, it's always
And
a
then
hustle, man.
repeat
It's
the
always a
process.
hustle.
Yeah.
It's so exhausting. People don't
It's-
realize
it was-
how exhausting it
It
is.
definitely became a job, and a job that you utterly hate, at least for me. You know, it's funny how like you know, I always tell when I tell my story, it's like, you know, looking back at and loaded was drinking and partying. It was fun. You know, it was a social time. It was, you know, looking at chicks and, you know, getting together with friends. And, you know, towards the end, it was all by myself, alone, isolation, with nothing but the crazy thoughts in my head. You know, and I
They
always
say,
say,
you know, the party's over. When
It
you're
was long
trapped in your
over,
addiction
yeah.
like that, you're getting high to get well.
Yeah.
You're not getting high to have fun no more. The party's over. The fun is gone.
and it wasn't fun for a long time. I remember crying my eyes out, just like walking down the street, just like, what am I doing? But I had no idea what I needed to do to get. I just thought that was it, you know, like this is my life, and then all this abnormality just became normal. It became normal to sleep on a hammock in Penn's Landing. It became normal to just walk up and down the streets and fall asleep on the L, you know. All that stuff was just normal, you know. To me, you know, it was just another day.
Right.
You know, it was just another day, and it takes talking about it to like bring you back to like,
You
damn.
didn't bathe in that big fountain by them hammocks there, did you?
No,
I've seen
thought he
people
was
in there
gonna
doing
say
this.
yes.
I thought.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I've seen those.
He was drinking from them
I
though.
might have drank from it.
Oh, you want to drink when you've seen the fat guy floating in the day there?
Well, I used to be skinny, believe it.
Cooling off. During the summer, I'm like,
Some
pretty
damn cookies
Yeah.
now.
Oh
You
man.
know what? The weight is welcome though. I was 110 pounds
157.
when I walked in, soaking wet, and I'm 5'6" and broad framed. You know, my doctor's like, you should be, 150 at 110 pounds, wearing my 14-year-old's clothes. And I
Yeah,
thought it was great that I could share clothes with a 14-year-old daughter.
Yeah.
yeah.
But that's
Now, my
it.
doctor just recently told me I had the ideal weight for a 10-foot man. I don't know how to take that, but I'll take it. Normal.
But it's funny too, not funny, but at the end, you're trying to get high and you can't get high anymore. You're trying to get drunk and you can't get drunk. It was for me, I was drunk so much that when I wasn't drunk, people asked me if I was okay.
That's the truth, and I say it to parents sometimes. I say, well, I think he's clean and sober. So you don't realize. You only realize when somebody's using is, one, if they don't have enough, you can tell they're run down and they're done. They can be just dosing and cruising along and you don't even know they're high. Or if they take too much, now you become more animated and you're approaching what's called overdose, because overdose means you're doing more than your body can assimilate. And so, like, you could just be cruising right along, nobody even knows you're high. He had a story of a cardiologist who was started out with regular opioid pills and doing cardiac surgeries, and it got to the point they wouldn't prescribe him anymore as friends because they seen there was a problem. So he was reduced to use street drugs. So this guy was taking heroin and doing open heart surgeries, and he would be like dipping out over the page, and the nurses are like, and like, this guy was like world renowned or something. I don't know, world renowned, but nurses don't want to say too much because then. You're just a nurse.
Yeah.
You'll get thrown out of the OR. You won't be. So, like, what do they do? And isn't that frightening? A surgeon dipping out during surgeries, and then finally you had to go get help.
Yep.
I was in a club on New Year's Eve in New York City. It had to be 15 years ago, and obviously we were all on something, and we were talking to these guys that were vascular surgeons on call in a club on drugs.
Yeah.
And then,
how
like,
about that?
when I sobered up after that, not sober forever, but the next day I was like, what if I was the one on the table needing vascular surgery and this guy's all,
Yeah.
But then I was right back to what I was doing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You just. It's.
And you don't know. It's amazing how many paramedics go down the wrong road and become addicted. I mean, it's cops, paramedics, doctors. It's everybody. That's why Living Green has the frat house. You got the men's house, the women's house, and the frat house. It's all first responders, military people,
Yeah. Emergency.
doctors,
Yep. Lawyers.
candlestick makers. Oh no, they go in the regular house.
The regular.
He got me with the water.
I was trying to get it to shoot out. It was
It
that
almost
close.
landed on him.
It was
too.
that close. I do that on purpose. That's a bad habit of mine.
People
I don't
always
hang out with
think
anybody like that drink because there was nothing better than giving somebody a nose beer, telling them a
Yeah,
good joke.
yeah.
When
What's a
it
nose
burns,
beer? Oh,
shooting
yeah,
out your
nose
nose.
Nose beers.
Yes.
I say that one of the gifts of recovery too is I have a friend in the program and she calls me out on my shit. Like, she saw me mentally relapsing, and I walked into her house and she hands me a relapse prevention workbook, and I must have gave her like this look. And she told me, I've watched you mentally relapse. You're one step away. Dishonesty does not look good on you, because I was
Yeah.
being dishonest with people, and that'll take you out. And then she was the first person though in recovery that I laughed with. Because you don't realize how much you forget how to laugh. My stomach hurt for 3 days, and I remember the day that I started noticing flowers again and animals out. It was like seeing the world, like for the first time. And
They're
it's just
reborn.
like,
Yeah.
Well,
you think about it, it's beautiful.
That's something I tell parents and all that. Like, they don't realize when you're deep in your addiction, especially with like opiates and all, your brain stops producing dopamine like it used to, and it starts producing copious amounts to deal with things. But what happens with all that? The other chemicals and all you need that foster emotions, like guilt, empathy, and all, you're not having those emotions. That's what people don't understand, how addicts can just walk and leave their children and this and that, and it don't bother them. Or like, it's always shown to us like normies, like, we see a baby like, or a puppy, like, people really deep in the throes of addiction, they see the puppy, go, it's a cute puppy, it's like, but you don't have that that aha feeling. You're not capable of producing it because your body, your brain is not allowing you to foster those emotions. And that's what I really find fascinating about recovery, is the clinical end. because for me, I need tangible proof to believe things, and a lot of people are like that, and that's what really helped me start believing all was being told to me and said, and all. It started making sense to me now.
Yeah.
Because the things people do, they would never do that any other way in their life unless something really just screwed up their whole thought process and values. You know what I mean? It's weird. It makes
It's
no
going
sense.
through
It's
now,
insanity.
It's just like being the person in recovery, when you get those emotions back, it is horrible.
Right.
But that's where it's like I found myself, because mine all came back at once, and it took about 3 years, and I just stuck closer to the program because for anybody out there that's getting their emotions back, that's struggling, just like stay. It gets better. I mean, it's just I always tell people in the detoxes and all that. And a lot of times you can catch someone's ear in the detox because they're starting to feel good because they're coming off.
Pink
but
cloud, man.
The
You
day
get that
they
cloud.
get out there, yeah. Then I had a girl I worked with. I won't say the word she said, but I asked her, "How's that pink cloud going?" Because I saw her crash. She's like, "Pink enough and fluffy." I laughed really hard. "Why are you laughing at me?" I said, "Because you're crashing. This is the time to watch out."
It is.
Yeah.
And that's a good. People are close to you a lot of times. They see your relapse coming before you do. And like your girlfriend gave you that workbook, but they see a change in your behavior, your demeanor, and sometimes you need someone to point that out to you because you don't see it coming. You don't feel it coming.
Right.
But
And the family, they can't bring it because you don't trust me. Like it's a whole other battle.
right, exactly.
That's just
you
another
get very
nail.
defensive.
Yeah.
Yeah. She saved my life that day. There's no doubt in my mind because for where I came from, and you could probably agree with it too, like the point that I came into recovery, I was dying. If I was to pick up again, I'm dead. I don't think I'll be one of the lucky ones to make it back, and it's it's just when you're that close to death, they say regardless you pick up right
You
where
can
you left
suck
off.
it in all you want on that camera. You're not looking any
Yeah,
different.
this is making me look a
You
little
can
chunky.
see you're like
Yeah.
changing his direction.
I know, I'm sitting here too like
What do you think? Every Friday,
You got
Me
the
and Laura
back
usually
camera.
we usually get way under the desk so you can't see our bellies.
You got the
I mean,
back camera.
We get right under the desk there so you
it
can't.
reaches 8.
Yeah.
And when we were in the other room, he had the table set up, and I was like, "Oh, let's get our signs." And I had the signs that I put out,
Blockers.
so he only saw
Oh my gosh.
Now that when I read the book, it's in front of me.
Yes, like this. It was cool though for him. Like his brother-in-law picked us up at the airport when we got here, and his nephew. This is gonna make me cry. I think had a sign for him fishing with Swerve and Irvin Doc. Like I'm crying, and they're your nephews. And when I walked into his house,
We
his
need
little
a
nephew
camera
just
angle.
jumped
This
on
camera
me and
drives me
hugged
nuts.
me like
Oh.
it's.
Yeah. They didn't even know who
I have
I
a
was
puppy.
5 years ago.
Yeah.
I have a puppy.
We have
Right.
a
I
have
puppy,
a
and I'm
puppy, yeah.
responsible enough to take care of a
Yeah.
puppy.
Yeah.
My kids are grown, so it's a little different.
It's a shame that the cats got out because you left the door
I
open.
told her I
But
left the doors open. But
No,
was
she
like,
came
"Oh,
back.
No, I didn't. I told her I left the doors open, so I don't know where they're at. And it was a joke.
I was
She
just
took
gonna
it
get
serious.
really mad too.
you
But-
jackass.
Listen, we're very pet
Yeah.
sensitized these last 2 weeks. We're very
Yeah.
Like-
very vulnerable. We just lost a dog.
Oh,
Like as much as I hate feeling feelings, and that's part
Right.
of the reasons why I started doing the things I was doing in the first place is
Yeah.
because I didn't like feeling my feelings or whatever I was thinking
nice
inside.
hair.
Right.
I got loaded to numb myself,
Right.
And it only worked for so long until it didn't. And then,
Yeah.
like you said, you chase that and chase that and chase that.
Right.
Because you don't like who you are inside, you don't like the things you're thinking of. And then when you get sober, you start getting that guilt and that remorse and that empathy,
Yes.
and it's like, oh, and it's like, I'm grateful to have those things because if I can cry and be sad for somebody else or for something that happened, that means on the reverse side, I can be that happy and joyful for something in the future.
Right.
So I'll take the good with the bad. It's just life,
Right.
and it's how it is. And the way it was put to me is that it's a disease of feelings and emotions, and that's really what it is. And really, I'm no different, as much and as unique as I am unique. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not unique. Everybody has these, even normies. They have feelings and emotions, you know? It's
Yes.
like, I'm not no different than anybody else,
Right.
you know?
But
I might,
they know how to deal with them.
maybe not though, you know?
And we may eat more, we
Yeah.
may shop more. Like there's always, you're always trying to make up for whatever's going on in your life, with whatever is happening, and learning, coming out of recovery, learning to live life on life's terms.
And humans by nature are compulsive. I mean, it's just you can't let it come over to that
Oh,
edge where
tell
it
me
becomes
about
an
it.
addiction. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm
The
dealing,
fishing
I'm
stuff.
dealing with compulsive and impulsiveness today. You know, like even go into Home Depot. Like I'm going in there for a screwdriver. And I
you
just
need
think,
4 of them.
Yeah. You know,
Who says, I'm not spending money, and then you have 4 Amazon packages filled with fishing stuff?
that's not my fault. It's Amazon's fault.
I know Amazon's too convenient.
You know, it's like you get. I'm just happy to see my name on a package.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. So what did you order? I don't know. I don't remember. That's no good. So I have to work on that, and I did. You know, I work on that.
Yeah.
Like the cookies. I worked on it, but now I'm on vacation, so now I get to eat cookies.
We went to Mr. Cupcake, which is a place in North Jersey that I love, and instead of buying, one for everybody, it's a dozen,
We bought 12.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna go home and eat 2 of them.
We bought 12.
It's true though, like in the active addiction, this just always pops in my head. It's like I was chasing that last one good time for 30 years.
Yeah.
That ain't ever coming for someone like me.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's just never coming.
No.
and especially like once you're in it for a time, you're always looking for that. And maybe when you stop for a certain period of time, you might get that again, but then you're right back into the shit show that it causes.
Like I said, we end up just doing the same things over and over again and expecting a different outcome.
Insanity.
And that is the
Insanity.
definition of insanity, and addiction is insanity. I mean,
I watched somebody relapse right in front of me. And she's straight alcoholic. I'm alcohol and opiates and narcotics. And, I was, give me anything. And I was at her house because she told me she was going to, I went and bought a bottle of wine. I'm going to drink. And we're not supposed to go alone, but I did. And can I take you to a meeting? Can we do that? I asked her all the standard questions. She said no. And she walks out of her kitchen with a glass of wine. And when she took that sip, the way her face and her body language changed, I'm like, that's what I looked like.
yeah.
I mean, seeing it, because I didn't see myself getting high or getting drunk. I didn't see how it's probably the scariest thing I've ever seen in my life.
That's interesting, yeah.
And it is, like, when you have somebody in early recovery as well, and you're not drinking at home, but you're drinking before you come home, that you know that whether it's the slurring of the words, even if you're not slurring, it's just your body relaxes, and that person that is in early recovery sees that, and that could just
Yeah.
right back to the races.
I could still remember exactly how it feels, and I don't want to feel like that again.
Right.
Like, believe it or like today, I can say I don't know how I'm going to feel tomorrow, but I remember exactly everything I've ever tried, exactly how it felt when I did it. I'm glad to remember that because I know where it takes me.
We were at Sam's one day, and we were getting in the car. It was with somebody else, and there was a needle laying in the parking lot, and I was like, I was so pissed off, and back in the day, it would have been, some junkie left that there, like that's. Before educating yourself. So that had me concerned. I'm like, I have somebody with me that has been in recovery for a while. And I'm like, just get in the car. And I went right into, and I said, you need to get somebody out there and pick that up and get rid of it. And they were like, oh, I'm really sorry. And I said, how are you feeling about that? And they said, oh, I'm not, I know I'm not going to go back. But I tingle, like I get a hot flash and a tingle, just seeing
I
it.
do that at the bakery. I get a little lamp and I get like a hot flash and a little,
I don't know, when cookies are coming out of the oven, I can agree with
I'm
that.
like that. I mean, sights and smells. I mean, they take you back to times. I mean,
Sorry, Larry, they don't have a high enough table for me.
It's funny too because, not funny, but I couldn't get my blood drawn for a long time because it's not even just like if you're doing opiates intravenously, it's not just you get addicted to the needle.
Right.
I couldn't, and then today I had my blood drawn today and I was fine. And if people say, do I need to hide my liquor when you come over, or can I, with pot being legal, do you care if I smoke pot around you? Is it going to trigger you? And today I can say no, it won't. Tomorrow I don't know.
Right. Exactly.
And that's doesn't usually bother me, but do I want to be around it all the time? No.
Right.
It's all over in Vegas. Everything's legal. And
Yeah.
Dispensaries on every corner.
Yeah.
It's
It's all you smell.
all
Now,
you
is
smell.
it recreationally?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Anybody can go get whatever.
I mean, it's literally every corner, but like you were talking about, I think, what was it, Kensington? There's places in Vegas where we just call it Tent City, and it's like 1 block away from, like you were saying, like a nice area, and it's
Yeah.
just everybody living in tents. And where we live, there's 1,100 beds empty every night between homeless shelters. Not so much the detoxes, they're full, but you can go in high. You can, as long as you don't bring drugs, and you can go in with animals, you can go in with children. They don't care, and they're empty.
We went to a church, a rescue mission.
Yes.
It's a homeless shelter. And they're all just camping on the street. They rather stay on the and that's so upsetting that that's the power of the
Right.
drinking drug.
yeah, sure, you
That
want to
there's
stay
help
close to your source.
literally right
Across
here
the street.
where
Right.
you can be fed and housed and get resources you need.
Well, that's what got
And
us
they
out of
choose-
outreach.
And they choose to stay, and you just want to shake them,
Yeah.
like yo, I promise you, there's a better way to live.
And it's
It's
was
so
weird
heartbreaking.
when we were down there and everything. We had picked up somebody, and they were like, I just, I need to go in somewhere to get, cleaned up, put some weight on, get some,
Yeah.
3 hots in a cot, whatever.
Yeah, right.
But I'll never give this up because I know which street to go on to get Italian, which street to go on to get cold sandwiches, what.
That's the truth. I mean, they're giving out sleeping bags, tents down there. It's
Yeah,
like
it's-
people have no need to leave. They
Right.
stay close to their source. It's right there. Mm-hmm. I mean,
It's still, to
and
me,
people
it's
mean
still
all the
way to
best
live.
by doing it.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, but you lived it,
Yeah.
and you're like living on the other side of it. It's like I just want to shake people, and
Right.
I do some another guy that we both know in recovery. Like he's he does Christian stuff too. I don't know much about religion, so please excuse me. But I went with him to feed the homeless behind the Salvation Army because, like he said, this is behind the Salvation Army and it's Tent City again. And it was so rewarding for me to feed people and see the expression. And nobody wanted to talk to recovery, but they knew when we were coming.
Right.
And that's the heartbreaking part
Right.
is like, okay, I can come this day at that place, get this, and then I could just go,
Absolutely. Then I
do my
learned all the
drugs
spots
and-
from going down there. Like she
Right.
said,
I
this
know all
place
the
got this on
outreach.
Monday, this place
Yeah.
on Tuesday. You get a
Yeah.
shower over here on Wednesdays.
I know the outreach that gives out brand new socks and not used socks, brand new underwear, like,
And I had the best coffee and hot chocolate all kinds did. I would go down with 10 gallons of hot coffee and hot
Ooh.
chocolate. I have these big thermal craft things. I mean, in my back of my Expedition, I look like it's like a lunch truck.
yes.
But that's what we gave them out, just to strike up conversation. That's what we would do. It wasn't there to feed you, really,
Yeah.
but it was a good icebreaker. Everybody likes a cup of coffee, a couple of hot chocolates there, and you can start talking, and and we used to have a thing called blessing bags. They got like a couple snacks, a juice box, and a letter of encouragement. We'd have people write them in, or kids, and resource papers where the resources were. And I would say, hey, should you decide to get a moment of clarity, you want to make it different, come get me. Look me up. We know where to go. We can get through the red tape. We can get you started faster. You can do it on yourself. Just And after a while, people would trust you. And it takes a while, and that's what all the coffee and things was, just to build trust. And
Yeah.
and they would call.
And that's wonderful that you guys
Might
do
be a
that.
month, 2 months. You never know.
Yeah.
Totally off the subject. It's nice to be around people who say coffee. I get made fun of so much, and I'm like, wait, who's to say you guys speak right? But, doing stuff like that, it's rewarding for you too, though. It's heartbreaking and rewarding at the same time. 'Cause
Yeah.
It's just,
Yeah. I stopped because there was just so many girls that were pregnant going into the tents to get the drug, and it just was too heartbreaking for me.
Yeah.
I couldn't go there.
And
I was-
even seeing that, it's traumatizing on the other
Yeah.
end. You know, like
Yeah.
yeah.
Now, when we started going down there, it was all kind of hidden on the tracks
Right.
because it was so overgrown and everybody was hiding. But when they cleared out the tracks,
Because the Dr. Oz
they
came
all
down and
ended
made
up.
his cameo appearance out there.
Oh,
so they threw everybody out of the track, so now they're all out in plain sight, and people can see
Yeah.
how many were actually
Mm-hmm.
there. Oh my God, we got all these people all over the streets down here.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
terrible.
And
Yeah.
like you never really saw. I mean, you would see somebody shoot themselves up in the leg or something, and you didn't think about, like, you just knew that that's what they were doing because
Right.
they needed to get well. But then once everything cleared out, there was this guy sitting standing in the train stairways, and everybody was lined up with their works so that he could shoot them up in their necks because they couldn't shoot themselves
Oh,
up.
it was crazy. And now it's you go to like the library down, McPherson Square.
Yeah.
It's just 100 people,
Yeah.
like blown out of their mind.
Now
Like,
they're
have addiction
right on
there.
the corner.
It's like it's so in your face, and it's unbelievable how bad it's
And-
gotten. And like we knew how bad it was, and we went down like a year later. Like I see how much worse it got. Oh my God, it got even more worse. We didn't think it could get any more worse.
it
Yeah.
can always get worse.
Yeah. And it's a shame. It's a shame because there's so much help out there, but the system sucks, number one.
Well, the decriminalization of everything, they're just letting people, I mean, even just stealing from stores, shooting up in the streets, I mean,
Oh yeah, all the stealing in stores is so out of
because they don't
control.
want to, they don't want to
right
take
now.
up the jail space.
Right.
I mean, are you
It's-
serious?
it's
Like, you don't want to
the
take
same.
up jail space.
And that's a pet peeve, man, because that puts everybody else in danger around
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Now you're in there with your kids shopping, and all hell breaks loose. You got you're inviting people in to do bad acts. I mean, and act badly. I mean, so you put all the innocent people at risk. It's not as much about that shopping cart full of whatever it was, but now they're running out, though, they're taking your kid out, or pulling a knife on somebody if somebody questions them.
We have 10 minutes left, guys. I know these two are very tired because
Tired.
Jet lag.
And they're social
Jet lagging.
butterflies.
We
Yeah,
need, we
go
need to go
right to bed.
We need to go to bed till like 3 o'clock in the
it's
morning.
only 7 o'clock for
And he's
you.
been busy. He's been busy
Oh, yeah.
trying out screwdrivers all day at Home Depot.
He's been busy driving me up and down north
the-
to south
The
Jersey.
turnpike, what? 100,
Oh, God.
160 miles on the turnpike.
If I never have to see the turnpike again, I'd
Oh.
be so happy.
But what a
telling
what a wonderful feeling it is to see grass.
Yes.
Yeah.
Grass.
Yeah. I mean,
Come by tomorrow. You can pull my weeds.
no, I
That
got,
we still have
They're
to do in
green.
Vegas.
They're green.
no, it's a pleasure to be on here. I couldn't wait to come up. I couldn't wait to come over. But for me, I don't like to be a hypocrite when I speak and talk. So I like to try to do the things I say, like, or suggest, so I'm not a hypocrite. And we were speaking to these patients at this rehab.
That's Italian for FU. Did you?
Oh.
That was really
Just
nice to my
insulted all
audience.
the Italians.
That was that meant nothing. That was just a nervous tick.
I was at a rehab in Las Vegas.
Maron in Vegas. Come to Vegas, stage in Vegas.
See, recovery's fun.
It is.
Yes.
How about that
it is.
underground out in Vegas? You ever like?
So,
The tunnels.
if you
Yeah,
don't know
tunnels.
about Vegas, it's friggin' hot.
A little
Like,
bit.
really hot.
It's a dry
I don't care.
heat.
It's
120 degrees is 120 degrees. So what they do, there's an outreach program called Shine the Light, I believe. And they have tunnels. And basically, the underground tunnels is like Tent City out here. And
We have a caller.
Is that Larry?
It is
Yeah.
Larry.
Larry, Ozzy.
Might have to turn them up. We'll see. Yo, Larry. How are you doing?
Hey, I have two questions. Do you use a lure or live bait, and did you ever throw anything back?
I use.
That's
no,
called catch and release, Larry.
Yes, I only use lures. I don't use any live bait. And
Worms.
90%, 95%, I would say, of my catches is thrown back. I only keep
Oh.
a few.
He even tried to revive a fish because I was crying.
Was it like mouth to lips? Or,
Yeah, pretty much.
much.
Yeah.
Always
I know people that pay good money for that
His
footage.
fish was dying, and I don't know why, I just started crying.
It's
and
good
he
to hear
was
your voice,
literally,
Larry.
like pushing on the fish, and he's like, I can't save him.
question,
I'm
Larry.
I like
Yeah.
I
that.
didn't mean to interrupt you,
We,
but
we should start.
Like catch and release. That's what the police used to do to me.
that sounds like one of your jokes.
Yeah,
That's great.
Well, Krasner's still doing that. He's perfected it in the city now.
yeah.
Catch-
But I never had a hook in my mouth. They hooked me in, but then they threw me back.
The hook takes you
That
back,
was the
Larry.
weight.
It's actually
Too
easier
small.
in jail to get drugs.
Oh,
Oh,
Yeah.
well, nice to hear you guys. It's nice to see you on the
Absolutely.
big screen there.
Absolutely, Larry.
Glad everything's going well for you, both of you, and it's really nice to hear about recovery.
Thanks, Larry. Appreciate
Yeah.
you, man.
Somebody else, not for me all the time, you know?
Yeah.
So they get tired if you hear my voice, so a new voice.
I never get tired of your voice, Larry.
He was just on last week, right? Or 2 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago?
3 weeks. 3 weeks.
3 weeks ago?
Yeah.
I know he's on it a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, we.
Larry's great in a pinch, too. Somebody bails out.
Yeah.
Larry,
Yeah.
Larry, 911.
He's
We need a guys.
He's Larry. I remember when I first got sober, Larry might have had like 2 or 3 years, and I've always seen his face around. He's one of the guys that, like, you know, shows up and suits up and shows up and was at the functions, was at you know, was it Ride for Recovery or like the alumni
Oh, yeah.
meetings and everything like that.
Yeah.
Larry is
You know,
dedicated.
And that's what you need to do. I mean, that's what I think you need to do to put your sobriety first and foremost is to be up front and center with it.
Right.
You know, and live it every day. Because like when you start putting your sobriety back is when you start losing
Losing
those
it.
things. You know, you start losing
That
it.
you
You know, if you
gained,
don't put
yeah.
your sobriety and recovery first,
But I
you know,
think-
you don't have this relationship. We don't have this. I don't have this relationship. I don't have, you know, all the monetary things I have with the car, but I don't have that peace of mind like she was talking about.
Right.
You know, I have that circus going around
Oh,
in
yeah.
my mind.
Rikers
you know?
Island, prisoners
yeah,
riding.
Right, yeah,
Right.
prisoners are riding. You know, and you constantly got to be reminded of that. And when I was telling the patients, they were asking me like, how do I stay in today and what do I do, and like, you know, and I'll tell them, you know, for me, I pray and you know, I just take it one day at a time and use the tools that you have at your disposal right now. Like, you know, you're in a good place. You're not outside begging for change on the street corner.
Right.
You're in here. You're being taken care of by people that have been there before you. You know, you're not just getting treated by a nurse. You're getting treated by people that
Right.
that
Yep.
have a couple years of recovery under their belts. And I still use the same tools I did when I was in detox, when I was in rehab. I still use the same tools that I did 2 years ago. You know, when I forget to use those tools is when my life becomes a little unmanageable,
A little.
a lot unmanageable.
Yeah. For
Yeah.
everybody around you.
For everybody around, me, including myself. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, you know,
And that's what it is.
Yeah.
If everybody, you know, it rubs off on everybody, no matter whether you're in recovery or you're not. It's just when you're out of recovery and you start forgetting all of that stuff is when it can get very ugly for you.
I got to meet 2 people from the tunnels that are sober. One guy, I was a newcomer in recovery. I think I was 2-3 weeks sober, and he was celebrating a year, and he was beaten nearly to death by a hatchet, and was celebrating his year sober. He's now, so I'm 4, so he's over 5 years sober now. And hearing his story was like, he touched me, and I ran into him at a fundraiser, and I went up to him. I said, "You're the reason that I stayed in my chair," because hearing his story kept me there. And another guy, there's this gratitude ball that they have in Vegas every year, which is for people in recovery, and he was the speaker, and he was so out of his mind that a cricket told him the police were coming and that he had to get out of the tunnels and get sober, and he's been sober for 10 years. There's a whole book if you want to learn about the tunnels. I don't know the name of it, but
You
there's
wouldn't
a
know the
whole book
cricket's
about-
name, would you? Was
I
it
think it was Jimmy.
Jiminy? Okay, you knew where I was going with that.
So-
Yeah, I did.
We didn't forget about you, Larry. We know you're out there too.
Yes,
Larry!
There's
That's all right, I'm
stars.
listening.
Well, Larry's got a great story, and he's very gracious. I mean, all the things he's got back in his life. He just took a great trip with his kids. They went.
I remember when he was so emotional about. It made me when he took his kids to the concert for the first time. What was it, Ozzy? You went to go see?
Yeah, probably.
I still remember.
We've been
you
to
know?
so
Like-
many, I can't keep track of them. But the Ozzy was the best one.
Right.
Yeah.
And I still remember that. Like, wow, he's taking his kids. You know, I might have had like a year sober, not even. You know, and my family was talking to me a year later, but not like they are today.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It takes time.
They
you know?
want you in their lives, and
but
they trust
trust
you.
is
Yeah.
And
They
what,
trust
does, and
me.
what does time stand for?
Things I must earn.
yeah.
Mm. There's a
Never eat cheese before noon.
Okay, you just interrupted a good story with your goofy joke.
Never cut
we,
cheese
We have
Never
some-
cut
yeah,
cheese.
in a crowded room.
We
In
can't talk
crowded
about
room.
that one. But there's this gentleman I met, and he had terminal brain cancer. And I met him. Somebody was celebrating 42 years of like straight sobriety, and he's like, "Don't mind my speech. I have terminal brain cancer." And I just kind of looked at him because people joke, not that cancer's something to joke about. I'm a cancer survivor, but he said, "I am so grateful that I got to live the second half of my life sober. It doesn't matter if I don't wake up tomorrow."
Right.
Wow.
Right.
That, like, I still get goosebumps, and that was 2 years ago that man said that to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It is. It's
Well, we all meet people in our lives for a reason, you know. We cross paths for a reason, and then
and things happen.
things
for a
just stand
reason.
out. I mean, they make an impression on us, and it's you have to wonder. I don't know. We're not going to get into the God thing because Larry's here, but
Group of drunks.
It's definitely a life
Yo.
beyond my wildest dreams, and
it's
for today,
eerie.
I'm not giving it up.
No.
I'll be
No.
damned if I'm giving this up.
Because
You know
I'll
what
kick
I mean?
your ass.
Yeah.
I'll go to Vegas and kick your ass.
Yeah, life is too good today, and it's because of this program that's given me that life. You know.
Right.
It's great, and this program put you guys in our lives. And we've
Yeah.
met so many great people. I mean, Larry's fantastic. I see Larry a lot. He's so truthful. You know, to hear Larry talk, you know what I mean, and he's so grateful, and like, and the truth. I mean, he says everything. He said what a rotten bastard he was, and this longer you know, and all the things he's gotten back into his life, he never thought he would ever have again. You know, and he's very thankful for that, man.
And then he pops in my house the other day, just out of nowhere. He just shows up.
His sympathy card
With
for
his
the
Look
dog.
at that. Oh,
For my dog, like for my dog.
That's the kind of guy he is.
yeah.
So it's
That's
just
beautiful. And then I get a mug with my with my
Me too.
mug on it.
Your mug with your
That's a mug.
with
Larry's
your-
got a mug.
I got the
Larry's
little
got a mug.
mug.
It's very thoughtful. People weren't thinking of me like that.
We don't mug everybody, do we, Larry? We
No.
only mug special people in our lives.
Yes.
I
I
don't have a
the
book,
first
I have
day
a
met
record.
you.
I don't have a book, I have a record.
Oh my gosh, but
Yes.
I'm bummed.
It's a beautiful life.
Well, thank you.
All right, I'm
Larry.
going to go like this. Just want to say hi to everybody
Oh,
and
yeah, you know we
find
always-
out the fishing tips.
We
Nice
always-
to hear.
We look
Hear
forward
your
to hearing
stories.
from you.
And I'll
Thanks,
see you
Larry. It's great
Wednesday.
talk, hearing you from you, all right?
Yep,
All right, take care, buddy.
See you Wednesday, Larry.
you will, whether you like it or not. All right, have a good night,
There's no
everybody.
angling down in Port Richmond. You never know what you're going to hook into or
Right.
who.
Yeah.
So it's kind of dangerous fishing down
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
When you called me an anglerette, I didn't know how to take it because I didn't know what it was. Like,
Good night, Larry. Thanks so much for calling, buddy.
Good night.
Thanks, Larry. Good
I
night,
know.
man.
See ya.
All right, say
See
it.
you Wednesday.
All
What's-
right,
what's
guys.
Wednesday?
It is 10:31. We will be here next Friday, and if something happens, you know, to go to my page if you don't see us, and it will tell you what's going on. If Rich is running late, I will post it on my page, but we will be here next Friday. everybody have a great week. Thank you so much, Urban and
Absolutely.
Lori.
Thank you guys were
For
delightful
coming out.
guests.
Honored to be here.
And the next time you're out visiting, you have to fit a Friday in there.
Yeah, definitely.
I know everybody pulls at you and they want you and
He's a very popular.
Yeah,
It's
but
very
this-
hard. We're very
this is the
fortunate
most
to get him on
This,
tonight.
this is something I wanted to do.
yeah, he flew all the way out
Yeah.
here just to be on the show.
This is something I wanted to do. I definitely would miss it.
Yeah, so everybody have a great week. We will see you Friday.
See you next Friday, gang, and thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, remember, recovery works if you work it.
Oh.
That's so true.
Peace out, everybody.